Zico. The legend of Brazilian football, from magic on the field to an immortal legacy, Raimundo Roberto de Lima, better known as Zico, was born on March 3, 1953, in the Vila Valqueire neighborhood of Rio de Janeiro. From an early age, Zico displayed extraordinary talent with the ball, but his story didn't begin under the bright lights of stadiums. Instead, it started in a very different setting, in a Rio de Janeiro that was still establishing itself as the football powerhouse it would later become. Zico's childhood was marked by challenges and hardships, but also by moments of pure joy as he watched the ball roll on the streets. In the beginning, there were no grand expectations for his career. After all, he was just a boy who loved playing soccer in his neighborhood streets. At the time, no one could have imagined that this dream-filled child would grow to become one of the greatest names in the history of world football. The nickname Zico didn't arise from anything glamorous. It came in a simple and affectionate way, given by childhood friends who teased him about his calm demeanor and ever-friendly personality. Zico's childhood, far from being marked by wealth or luxury, was filled with simplicity and determination. He grew up in a lower-middle-class family, where hardships were common, but the support of his parents never wavered. His father, a steadfast believer in Zico's potential, always encouraged him to pursue football, even though Zico initially saw the sport as more of an escape for his dreams than a viable career path. However, one of the first challenges Zico faced was right in front of him. How could a lower-middle-class boy from a modest neighborhood rise to the pinnacle of a sport that was so competitive and often reserved for the elite? How could he become someone who would one day wear the jersey of the Brazilian national team? This was a question that loomed over Zico's life, but the answer was closer than he realized. With the unwavering support of his father and his own unbreakable determination, Zico began to take his first steps toward what would later become a legendary career. But how would this journey unfold? What lay ahead for a boy with so many questions, but an undeniable passion for football? Zico's childhood was just beginning to teach him valuable lessons about perseverance. Little did he know, his journey was already starting to show signs that perhaps this path was truly meant for him. At the age of 13, Zico began playing in Flamengo's youth academy, but his journey was far from easy. Contrary to what many might imagine, the young boy who dazzled with his dribbles and passes initially struggled to earn the trust of the club's coaches and directors. Zico was undeniably talented but still very young, and many doubted his ability to stand out in such a competitive environment like Flamengo. His time in the youth academy was not smooth sailing. Despite his undeniable talent, Zico faced difficulties in establishing himself among the other players. It was common to see him in training sessions, fighting to impress but not finding the opportunities he desired. The big question everyone asked was, could Zico overcome the barriers posed by his age and the pressure of being part of a team full of stars? The challenge was clear. A young boy, still inexperienced and without the recognition that older players already had, would have to find a way to shine at Flamengo, one of Brazil's greatest football clubs. During this initial phase, the solution seemed out of reach. The doors did not open easily for him. It was during this uncertain period that Zico had to prove that his talent was more than just technical skill. It was a profound love for the game and an extraordinary determination to never give up. The breakthrough came when, after several ups and downs, Zico was finally given a chance to shine. During a friendly match against Flamengo's professional team, the coach, who had been hesitant to bet on the young player, decided to give him a shot. Zico entered the field, and what followed was magical. He scored a goal and proved that the talent so many had doubted was undeniably real. This moment confirmed that, despite all the challenges and obstacles, Zico had found his opportunity. He was ready to claim his place in the main squad, but this chance was just the beginning of an even more demanding journey. The new question became, could Zico establish himself as a starter for Flamengo? And more importantly, would he truly become one of the greatest names in football history? After securing his spot at Flamengo, Zico faced a significant challenge: how to truly establish himself as one of the greatest players of his generation. Despite his evident talent, competition was fierce, and Brazilian football was always brimming with stars. It became clear that Zico needed to go beyond his technical skills. He had to prove he could lead, be decisive, and carry the team during crucial moments. But how could a young player, still heavily reliant on his natural talent, achieve this feat? The challenge lay in rising through the ranks of a Flamengo team already filled with legends like Zico and other idols. There was immense pressure on Zico to become not just a skilled player, but a true leader on the field. Doubts lingered. Did he have the mental strength to stand out in such a competitive environment? Could he become the kind of player who changed games and delivered titles? This was the dilemma Zico faced. The solution emerged as Zico began to shine in competitions. His true breakthrough came during the 1974 Campeonato Carioca, where he became Flamengo's star player, stepping into a growing leadership role. He commanded the team masterfully, not just scoring goals, but creating plays and being decisive in key moments. His ability to deliver brilliant passes, combined with his precision in free kicks and penalties, elevated Zico to a level few players in Brazil could match. Over time, Zico's success extended beyond Flamengo to the national stage. By winning titles with his club, such as the Campeonato Carioca, and earning a call-up to the Brazilian national team, Zico began showcasing his talent to the entire world. He was no longer just a promising talent. Zico had become one of Brazil's greatest football players, winning the hearts of fans and the respect of critics. But the challenge was far from over. The new question was, could Zico take his greatness to the international stage? How would he perform in global competitions and the world of international football, where the pressure and expectations were even higher? How would he carry the weight of being one of the greatest of his generation with all of Brazil watching his every move? Throughout his career, Zico was always seen as the kind of player who could conquer the world, never limiting his brilliance to just Brazilian soil. But what led him to make the decision to leave Brazil and seek new experiences abroad? What could he find in distant and demanding markets that Flamengo couldn't already offer? The dilemma lay in whether he could truly adapt and succeed outside Brazil, considering his deep connection with Flamengo and the adoration of its fans. He decided to seek new challenges. The first step was a leap to Italy, where he signed with Udinese in 1983. For many, this move seemed risky. Could Zico, with his unique style of play and almost mystical bond with Flamengo, adapt to European football with its intense pace and different rhythm? Would he be able to replicate abroad the success he had achieved at home? Upon arriving at Udinese, Zico quickly demonstrated that Brazilian football had a special place on the international stage. In no time, he stood out in the Italian championship, scoring goals, delivering decisive passes, and showing the world that his class and skill were universal. He was not just a success in Brazil. Zico had the ability to shine on football's biggest stages. His adaptation was more than positive, earning respect even from skeptics. His international journey didn't stop there. With his sharp vision of the game, Zico ventured to Japan, joining Kashima Antlers in 1991. In the land of the rising sun, he found not only a new challenge, but also an opportunity to reinvent himself. Now armed with greater experience and wisdom, he helped transform Japanese football, elevating the sport to new heights and winning important titles. Zico became more than just a player. He became a legend, someone who helped popularize football in a country where the sport was just beginning to gain traction. Through his time at Udinese and Kashima Antlers, Zico not only proved that his genius transcended borders, but also gave new meaning to his career. Wherever he went, he had the power to be great. And as the world applauded his accomplishments abroad, the question arose, with all these international achievements, how would he return to Brazil? It seemed Zico still had much to offer, and was far from being just a great player in Flamengo's history. He was building a global legend. Zico has always been regarded as one of the greatest players of his generation, and his name was soon associated with the Brazilian national team, where he had the opportunity to shine in prestigious tournaments. He made his debut for the national team in 1976, still young but with already unmistakable talent. He quickly became a key player in a team that sought excellence, and Zico's brilliance never went unnoticed. He was there on the field, alongside other great stars, ready to prove that his skill went beyond the clubs he played for. Zico played in some of the most thrilling editions of the Copa America, the World Cup, and the qualifiers, being the central figure in the famous 1982 generation. For many, the 1982 Brazilian national team is considered one of the best of all time, with Zico acting as the maestro, delivering brilliant passes and leading a team filled with talents like Socrates, Falcão, and Cerezo. That generation enchanted the world not only with technical ability, but with their engaging philosophy of play, something Zico helped orchestrate masterfully. However, at the same time, this era carried a heavy weight, the pressure to win international titles. Although Zico shone in the qualifiers and international friendlies, the ultimate goal, the World Cup, remained a huge challenge. In 1982, the Brazilian national team arrived as one of the favorites to win the title in Spain, and Zico's team was undoubtedly one of the most impressive in history. But unfortunately, the outcome was not as expected. Brazil, despite playing sublime football, was eliminated by Italy in the quarterfinals, in a match that became one of the biggest disappointments in World Cup history. For Zico, that was the moment of greatest frustration, as the dream of winning the World Cup seemed finally within reach. The team played enchanting football, but the failure in the tournament was a hard blow for the star and the fans. Still, Zico continued to be called up for subsequent tournaments, participating in the 1986 World Cup in Mexico. However, Brazil once again fell short of the title. In 1986, despite Zico being one of the team's stars once more, Brazil was eliminated by France in the quarterfinals, in another match that became yet another disappointment for the star. During that tournament, Zico fought to achieve his great goal, but once again, the World Cup title seemed to slip through his fingers. The greatest sorrow for Zico was not winning the World Cup, an achievement that always seemed within reach, but, for some reason, never materialized. He was an essential part of the 1982 and 1986 teams, playing at a high level, but the World Cup trophy always eluded him, a void that weighed heavily on his international career. The irony, perhaps, is that Zico was part of such a talented generation, considered by many the best national team of all time, but the greatest dream of any player, winning the World Cup, never came. Although Zico never lifted the World Cup trophy, his contribution to the Brazilian national team and world football was immeasurable. He became an icon of Brazilian football and an example of leadership, talent, and perseverance. And even without a World Cup title, Zico remains one of the greatest legends in football history, someone who, despite the adversities, showed the world his value and his passion for the game. After a career full of achievements, magic on the field, and an unmistakable connection with football, the moment of farewell was inevitable. Everyone knew that at some point, Zico, the star who enchanted the world, would have to hang up his boots. But how would such an immortal icon in the hearts of fans make this transition? The question lingering in the air was whether he could reinvent himself after so many years of brilliance on the field. Zico ended his professional playing career in 1994, but not without leaving his mark on one final major project. His last team was Kashima Antlers from Japan, where he not only played but helped popularize football in a country that, until then, had no tradition in the sport. His impact on Kashima was so profound that the club became one of the most respected in Japan, and Zico came to be revered as one of the key figures responsible for the growth of Japanese football. Even with his genius still evident, the physical, wear and accumulated injuries over the years weighed heavily on his decision to retire from playing. His final professional match took place with Kashima, officially ending one of the most iconic careers in world football. Despite this, Zico did not abandon the sport he loved. After retiring, Zico entered a new phase in football. He continued as a coach, leading important teams such as the Japanese national team, with which he had success, and other clubs around the world, including Turkey's Fenerbahce. His tactical knowledge and leadership quickly showed that his contribution to the sport was far from over. In addition to being a coach, Zico also excelled as a sports executive and technical advisor. He played a fundamental role in the development of Japanese football and was a respected advisor wherever he went. His passion for the sport remained intact, and he continued to inspire new generations of players and fans, even away from the pitch. Zico never ceased to be a central figure in world football. His legacy transcended the glories he achieved as a player, as he continued to shape the sport and leave his mark. For fans, his farewell from the field was not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter, where the idol continued to contribute, in ways that only he could. Zico proved that legends not only live forever, but also transform, adapting and leaving their contributions wherever they are. Don't forget to subscribe to the Brazilian National Football Team Forever channel, hit the like button, share with your friends, and turn on the notification bell. Also, check out the playlist that will appear at the end of this video, packed with incredible stories about other great players. You won't want to miss it. See you next time.